let's talk about celebration, because for both of us, and I also see this in you, and I think, when we're in Napa and we're with all our friends, I feel that celebration is something that everyone struggles with the more successful they become. And because the goals get bigger, the time length of the next project gets longer because it's harder. It's like launching a TV show as you did, or you wrote another book after 5 years. There's more pressure this time because the last thing was incredible and now you're doing something bigger. I find like we live in this world where it's easy to stop celebrating. Did you find that, or have you always found time for yourself to celebrate your wins and your successes? I'm just asking on a personal level.
The honest answer is that I think it wasn't until I discovered the high five habit that I profoundly realized how much self-hatred I was dealing with. And
despite everything else, yeah.
Well, and this I think is a really big piece of the power of this, especially if you're somebody who's achievement oriented, and everybody that listens to this podcast feels a big calling and wants to do more in the world and make a bigger difference and a bigger impact. There's a real danger that's very common, Jay, that you start to marry, or you've always married, being worthy or lovable with what you're doing and what you're achieving. And it works both ways in terms of if you don't have the number on the scale, it means, again, the dust on the mirror. You are not worthy because you haven't achieved it yet. And for those of us that have achieved some things that we've set out to do, what happens is you find that as soon as you achieve the thing, you actually need to do something else.
Better.
Better, because it was a thing that you achieved that made you lovable or worthy. And the real trick, and this is everything, is being able to know and feel in your bones that you are lovable and worthy just because you're breathing. And that was a huge breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
And so, no, I never celebrated because I think I was so married to this idea that unless I'm doing or winning or achieving, and it happens so subtly when you're little because you start to get so much positive praise when you get a good grade or when you do something at school or when you make your mates laugh or whatever it might be, that you start to go, oh, that's what love feels like. Oh, if I do that. And so you outsource love and validation to outside things. And I'm here to tell you, we all got to learn how to bring it back home and anchor the validation and love that you need where you are right now every single day. And it's only in discovering this that I had to confront just how much I was beating myself up, just how much I was tearing myself down, and how I was chasing these things. Because what I actually wanted was to feel loved. Like if you ask yourself, okay, great, you want to make $1 million. Why? There's a feeling that you're looking for from that. And if you can start to work on bringing that feeling into your day-to-day life for yourself, it changes the way that you go about achieving things. Like I didn't even enjoy half the stuff that I did because I was constantly maniacally focused on the things that weren't working rather than the 100 things that were. And the same is true with everybody's day. You don't even know the number of amazing things you do every day. You feed the dog, high five. You got the kids to school, high five. You read 10 pages of the book, high five. You said a nice thing to a stranger, high five. You got something done at work, high five. You got through 70% of your inbox, high five. Instead, you focus and ruminate on the one thing you didn't get to, and then you use that as evidence, again, dust on the mirror, to see a human being that's not measuring up and never will, and all that stuff their stupid 4th grade teacher said to you must be true, dust on the mirror. No, you need to interrupt this, period.
That is so, so powerful. Everything you just said, I was just nodding along thinking, this is so true. I saw a video recently from a good friend of mine, Jason Goldberg, and he was talking about a study at the Olympics where people who win bronze are happier than those who win silver. And so coming third makes you happier than coming second, because the people that come second, they go, oh, but I was a second away from first. And so they feel disheartened. Whereas the person who came third goes, at least I made it on the podium.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Make it to the podium.
Yes.
Put on the clothes.
Or just put on the clothes.
Just put on the clothes. But that's making it to the podium. Like to me, that's like just getting there. It's not about, And actually what you really hit something when you were saying that about celebration for me, it's not just about celebration, it's about what we celebrate in our lives.
Mm,
So when we celebrate our birthday, we're celebrating life. When you're celebrating an achievement, you're still celebrating a thing.
yes.
And so celebrating life, when you're celebrating your breath, when you're celebrating your life force, your energy, your soul, the ability to love, the ability to be kind, the ability to have relational exchanges like we're
Yeah,
having right now,
yeah.
that's what you celebrate.
Yeah.
Because if you only celebrate things, now you're waiting for the next thing. And I actually learned that completely from my wife Radhi, whether it was consciously or unconsciously. She didn't even know what she was doing. This was totally all in my own head. But I realized that every time I reached a new external peak or a new thing, I expected to receive more love from her. I expected that she would think something more cool of me. And the answer was she didn't. She loved me the same. And I would always wonder, why does she not love me for this? Like, how does she not respect me? How does she not feel it differently? I mean, look what I'm doing. Look what I've achieved. And when I kept working with that thought, and I reflect deeply, and I love breaking down my own thoughts and figuring it out, and I really get stuck in there, I realized that my wife loves me for my life and who I am, not what I do.
Yes.
And so she unintentionally trained me and taught me to disconnect my value from what I do to who I am, which is what she loves me for. And I realized that that was so much more beautiful and so much more powerful and so much more meaningful to be loved for who I am
Yes.
than what I do and achieve.